Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Today, it took me some time to really come to a point where I wanted to do this video. I've been wanting to do this video for a very long time, and I won't be before you long, as a good pastor may tell you. But I think it's something that more of us need to really call out, really display, really show the people what the truth really is when it comes to crime in America. Now, before I dive super deep into the video, I'm I'm just kind of I'm gonna do a Twitter scroll just for giggles there, and maybe some prevalent information nonetheless. Now, I really thought this was funny, family. I thought this was funny because it's just a video of this lady here going through some cards stating, just because I voted for Biden doesn't mean I'm stupid, right? And it kind of made me think about the Black community as a whole, not as a monolith, but as a whole, that 87% of us voted for Joe Biden. And I think we feel, and we're in the same place as this young lady here. But I'm just going to play this very quickly. Sad music. And the cards here are repetitive as she is just kind of going through them. So that's pretty much it, right? And then as I start to scroll down, I see that Elon Musk said, I voted for Biden, got the shame face for the emoji. What if Elon Musk is an alien, or Optimus bots are the alien invasion? I mean, who knows, right? But essentially, the main focus here was people are ashamed, people are sad that they voted for Biden. I don't really know why they, in particular, are shameful that they voted for Biden, but Black people, we know. A lot of promises, none of them kept, as usual. There's nothing new there. To lighten the mood before, again, we get serious again, I saw this video here and I was just like, hell no. If you were offered $1 million to spend one night in this house, would you take the offer? Listen, okay, the night starts at midnight and you have to go to 5 a.m. No. Listen, look at this. Right. Of course, it's a snake. When I first saw this video, I was looking under the table. Look at this. Family, it kind of just gives you the right. I know. I see people start dropping off, they start seeing snakes. I get it. Yeah. Why is Fletcher Cox from Philadelphia Eagles out here dressing like Patti LaBelle? It looked like he has a female family. Some people just need an image coach. Where's Kevin Samuels with him when you need him, right? He was an image coach. But nonetheless, looks like he has a blouse on under that with this metallic looking suit jacket that's look like it's actually designed and made for a lady. And then the necklaces, they don't have any charms on them. They kind of look like a night out. I don't know. Michael Strahan, who's cut off here on the right, I'm pretty sure he has some things to say. He just didn't say them with his mouth, right? This right here in particular was alarming. It states how this Haitian woman found that foundational Black Americans got all of their style, flavor, and culture from Africans and Caribbeans. I don't want to get into that. That's very inflammatory. And then you kind of go back and forth. I got to show you proof and evidence and receipt. And family, the proof is in the pudding of America. It truly is, okay? It truly is. We understand that we're the foundation of this country, and essentially all the music that in it. I'm not just talking about hip hop and R&B. I'm talking about jazz. Okay. I'm even talking about the blues, country music. We know that the greatness that our people brought to this country, and that I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there, right? Let's get into the video nonetheless. Now, I asked the Google machine this question here. How did Great Britain conquer the world? It goes on to say that in the 16th century, Britain began to build its empire, spread the country's rule, and beyond power its borders through a process called imperialism. This brought huge change to societies, industrial cultures, and lives of people around the world. Now, we kind of go back and understand back in the 1400s, mid 1400s, 1445, one of the popes essentially designated dark-skinned melanated Africans as the new slave of the world. And ever since then, it's been working off pretty great. I mean, those who are light and white have the power of the world. We live in a system of white supremacy and white privilege. Now, I'm not trying to have white sympathizers or essentially have people that have white guilt. That's not my cause here today. It's just to display the true crime in America, and it started hundreds of years ago. And people are going to come with the counter argument that everybody was enslaved, everybody was slave, everybody did this, and yada, yada, yada. But in America, the depiction, in the United States of America, the depiction of crime and poverty rests solely on dark melanated people, of Black Americans. And if you knew a little bit about history, you will understand how European nations, after they warred with one another, teamed up, banded up together to conquer and colonize, continents like Africa, continents like Australia, where the Aboriginal people of that land are dark melanated, the Caribbean, the Bahamas, all of these countries that we know where white people sit at the top and Black people and those who are darkly melanated sits at the bottom. Now, this is not a video that's saying all white people are bad. Okay, I'm tired of that. Of course they're not. Not all white people are bad. But then again, they will paint Black people as all bad. Oh, there's a few good of you. Well, I'm just going to show some statistics. I can't even say the word. I'm going to show some data that essentially will paint a different picture. Now, of course, you won't see this on any of the major conglomerate news stations, CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, etc. You won't see that, family. You won't see that because that is very persuasive data that they do not want the world to see. See, in order to uphold the system of white supremacy and tyranny is to keep a particular group of people down. And we've been designated long before any of us was born. But how do you perpetuate that narrative? You use media, whether it be in entertainment with movies and shows, or even in some advertisements. They have a Black lady that face Louisiana Fried Chicken to uphold stereotypes. And they do it ever so bluntly right in front of our face. But we continue to perpetuate the narrative that they already perpetuated. Now, as we go here, from the dawn of time, especially under the system of white supremacy, this has been our usual pictures of how we display us fighting back against oppression and tyranny. Ever since we can remember, even from the late 60s to the 70s, where you see the Black Panther Party and other pro-Black groups, Black nationalists, etc., in the street pounding the pavement, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, etc., right? Huey P. Newton, all of these Black nationalists essentially going out to fight for rights, equal rights, and reparations for foundational Black Americans. And even to this day, they have continued to uphold the system of white supremacy that includes racism, discrimination, killing us unjustly, in a system where qualified immunity actually not only covers law enforcement, but the citizens therein. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this particular story, and they're stating why these 300 students walked out, right? And we're going to just cover this very briefly. I'm just giving you a small example here. It states that about 300 students protested at school administration that organizers said had promoted psychological trauma among Black students. Students claimed that an administrator said their Black History Month event shouldn't mention figures before 1970. Why do you think they said that? They said that in order for those students not to depict Black history as Jim Crow, as slavery, or anything that's inflammatory that may go against or may coincide with CRT. That is the reason for that. That's why they put that stipulation on that, because we understand after Martin Luther King, essentially Jim Crow died back in the early to mid 60s. That's why they said 1970. But even with that time frame, they could do a lot, but they might have want to depict a time transitioning from one period of racism, discrimination, terror within the Black community from the oppressors of the dominant society, and bring that up to today, how we are still dealing with the same issues. These 300 students here. Now, 9 facts that show white on white crime far exceeds Black on Black crime and how media outlets conceal it. And the reason why I took you in the beginning to Great Britain, because I told you they was war against each other before they designated us as the criminal other class and the slave class of the world. Now, it states here, I had this highlight, I don't know what happened, family. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly. It seems that the media in general and white society in particular prefer to focus on crime perpetrated by African Americans, Black Americans, because it serves as a way to absolve them from the violence, prejudice, and institutionalized discrimination engendered for generations against Black people. It offers a buffer against responsibility, a way to shift blame and deflect cause and effect. But the truth and the numbers tell a different story. At the heart of an increasingly violent society is not a subculture among Blacks, but the violence and criminality of many Americans and whites in particular. No one seems to speak out about this. Why? Because the snake oil was duly purchased and consumed. And how do they do this? Family, before any immigrant, legal or illegal, comes to this country, they already have a picture, a depiction, a display of what a Black American is. A Black American is poor, a Black American is a criminal, a Black American is a killer. Because they drink the snake oil. Because no one does their research prior to coming to this country by all the different groups within this country. They go by what the mass white media gives them each and every time. But the face of crime in America is not Black, family. On the vast majority, it is Caucasian, it is white, it is Anglo-Saxon. And instead of trying to project conjecture and my bias, I think it's just important that we get into certain stories that can give us some anecdotal examples of why this is true. And then, of course, the statistics behind it.
That's how they used to hang people back. How could you sit here and label that man a threat to you when he's already cuffed up? Why would you throw a bag over his head? That's how they used to hang people back in the days. Put a bag over your head and put that noose on you. That was a full-fledged lynching. I don't care what nobody say. That was cold-blooded, calculated murder. It's a damn cover-up. And it is a cover-up. They can say what they want to say. They killed the son of brother.
I just want you to focus on the word cover-up, because cover-up may be personalized to this one story here, this one situation here. But they've been covering up things for hundreds and hundreds of years in all different many sectors. See, as Black people, we get attacked on all fronts in the society, in health and medical, and social securities. Anything dealing in any facet of any country and any government, we get oppressed in. And some people, because they've made it, they're doing well financially. As a Black person in America, they believe that this doesn't really, these numbers really don't depict, or these numbers really don't tell the full story of Black people in America. And again, they never want to deal with the mass majority. They want to deal with the so quote unquote micro of a situation, because they're only pertaining to themselves versus the macro. Well, here's the thing why the macro is very important: because it has not happened to you or happened to you yet. That's the point. Because if one class is being obliterated and killed and warded off and oppressed and suppressed and limited, and it has a cap and a ceiling of the progress that a vast majority or even a high percentage of us than what we already are to be successful and succeed in America and live in America without being discriminated upon, by not having racial bias and not being killed.
Uncle, for no reason.
What would you like to see happen now?
Oh, the police prosecuted and fired. Because if I'd have did this to a cop, what would have made them not say, okay, we give you 100 years? And I would have got 100 years, because that's 25 to life if I kill a police or any other pedestrian out here of society. Come on.
Okay, now the reason why that one was important, because it simply points out the disparities in crime, right? Give me a second here, family. It simply points out the disparity in crime, a police officer versus a Black person, so on and so forth. Now, I thought this story, because they say fact checked, and they give some numbers here, right? They give some data. They're saying, first, a virtual meme, I guess this was posted somewhere on social media, purports to list homicide statistics by race in the United States as follows: whites killing Blacks, 2%. Police killing whites, 3%. Whites killing whites, 16%. Blacks killing whites, 81%. Family, please tell me if these numbers are true. Blacks killing whites at 81%. Do you think 13%, as they say, and I think it's more like 15 or 16, but you think 15 or 16% of the population is killing 79 to 80% of the population? Do you believe that the poorest people in America are killing white people? Police killing Blacks, 1%. Blacks killing Blacks at 97%. Wow. Now, and again, that was a meme on social media, right? So USA Today said, fact check, what's true, what's false, right? And it states here, overall, most homicides in the United States are interracial, and the rates of white on white and black on black killings are similar, both long-term and individual years. So are they stating that we're killing each other at the same rate? That's exactly what they're stating. So because we understand that most deaths and murders and killings are essentially proximity killings, right? You crime and killings essentially occur within the same community. So what does that mean? That means that Asians are deleting Asians, Hispanics are deleting Hispanics, whites are deleting everyone, and Blacks are deleting one another. It says, likewise, the post attempts to portray a gulf in the rate of black on white and white on black homicide, which is list 81% and 2% respectively. Statistics from the FBI in 2018 and 2017 contradict that claim. In 2018, 16% of white victims were killed by black offenders, while 8% of black victims were killed by white offenders. Similarly, in 2017, 16% of white victims were killed by black offenders, while 9% of black victims were killed by white offenders. And it states here, in both years, the numbers remain within 8 percentage points, a much smaller gap than 79% alleged in the viral post. Why is this? Why is this important, family? Because when people read these stories, they believe them. When people read social media posts on Facebook and Instagram, they believe it. They understand that people are not going to read the entire story, so they project these headlines at you. You read the headline and you move on. Hey, did you hear about that? Blacks are killing whites at 81%. Even white people shouldn't believe that. We don't just go around killing white people. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. Through nationwide statistics are less readily available, multiple studies have found that police kill black people at a disproportionate rate. Disproportionate. That means that the information you saw earlier was lies. It was fraud. Because here's the thing, family, they actually fraud and scam the American people with statistics, especially when you look at these mass media sites and a lot of these social media posts. It states the majority of victims were white people at 52%, but black victims were overrepresented 32%. Relative to the US population, the fatality rate was 2.8 times higher among black victims than white victims. Don't forget that the police was first established during slavery as a slave patrol. They had the same representation of a badge or a shield, so to speak. But this is why it's important that we do our research and we understand what's truly going on in America, because you'll get some Sambos, you'll get some coons that start shucking and jiving and dancing and prancing and talking about, well, what about black on black crime? Dude, everybody has their own particular crime pertaining to the community in which they live. Black people live around black people, white people live around white people, so on and so forth. But when you have been painted and pictured and displayed as the criminal class in America, guess what? When these other people from other countries and even the American people constantly see black people on TV, robbing corner stores, shooting at each other, they believe it even though they know it's not true. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of medical term. They believe it even though they know it's not true. But it takes people to do the research and at least teach the people or show the people what's truly going on. What's truly going on. Because when I look at things like this, family, the number of mass shootings in the United States between 1982 and January of 2023 by shooters' race or ethnicity, I mean, this is almost triple the amount, fam. Excuse me, this is almost quadruple the amount, the ratio from white to black. And I know some of you are going to say, well, white people outnumber black people. But family, I tell people the truth is in the percentages, because this is done by percentage. So essentially, this is how much mass shootings have been occurred by white people in America compared to black people. And let me tell you, these numbers for black people at 24%, can I tell you something? These are also included with gang rival shootings, right? If a gang is rivaling against another gang and 2 or 3 of them get shot or get deleted, then that is part of this statistic. But have you noticed, when you have a white mass shooter, they're not essentially gang shootings for the most part. I'm pretty sure they have some of that inside of their community as well. But the thing here is, these are random. These are pop-up. They just go to random places or their place of work usually. One of those statistics that within there, one of the metrics, and they shoot any and everybody. And then a lot of these mass shootings are what? White supremacists going to black communities to erase as many of us as they can. But they don't show these things. We kind of just know it, right? We kind of just know it. We kind of just know it. Now, when I look at this is another statistic. Now, I'm going to go down just a little bit here because I know some of these numbers from Wikipedia can't really be trusted, but it states here that 49% of Black Americans and Indigenous Americans at 48%, victims reported most often higher than whites. The victims. Whites at 42% and Asians at 40%. Serious violent crime and aggravated assault against blacks, against us, 58% and 61% respectively. And when it comes to white and Asians, 55%, 59% was reported more often than whites, where there was at 51 and 4 and 54%, and Asians 50 and 51%. So I kind of wanted to go over here. I had some things highlighted, family. I lost all my information. But basically, first and foremost, I want to show you something here down at the bottom of this screen. First, I'm going to show you that it's from a government website from the FBI. Okay. And this is the latest statistic that I could find at 2019. And they have the crime rate broken down by race. And before we go through some of these numbers, I'm going to kind of speed through them, family. I want to show you something before somebody catch a wild here and say, oh, well, again, there's more white people than black people in America. Again, I want to show you when you do things by percentages, then you see the disparities. Then you understand that even at our same percentage of the population in America, in a lot of these violent crime areas, they are 3 or 4 times the amount. Because of rounding, the percentages may not add to 100%. Okay, so that should tell you that these numbers are in percentages. Okay, now you see hard numbers here, but the total arrests and the total crime is by percentage. Now, rape, we see 11,500 versus 4,400. Aggravated assault, 169,000 compared to us at 91,000. Larceny theft, 393,000 compared to 178,000. Motor vehicle theft, violent crime, double the amount that we have, almost double the amount. Property crime, double the amount and more. Forgery and counterfeiting, we already know what goes down with that, family. 21,000. Fraud, 51,000 compared to our 24,000. What else do we have here? We have sex offenses. We have, I don't want to use that word here. Let me see. I'll just say taking advantage of someone at 21,000 versus 5,900. You have drug abuse and violations at 748,000 compared to 274,000. Driving under influence, 526,000 versus 90,000. Disorderly conduct, because they always get us with disorderly conduct. Oh, you guys are playing loud music at an Airbnb or something like that. That's why I kind of depict that one out. We see that as 132,000 versus 64,000, so it's double the amount. And then we have all other offenses except traffic, 1.5 million versus 577,000. And that's based off percentage, and that's from the FBI. So a lot of times you guys have to just do a quick Google search before you say silly stuff like, what about black on black crime? And then I'm going to say, what about white on white crime? See, I know that people who say that, especially those who are in front of a large audience on media news sets, that they're getting paid to say that. They're getting paid to sell out. That's where the term sellout comes from. I see I got Buzzer Cam in the room. Jermaine Anderson, B1 to you, fam. We also have Sun Kissed by TMH. We got Jermaine Anderson in the room. He states, if this is your first time to the channel, please hit that like button and share the video on your social media platforms. I see I got Armageddon in the room. Nice to see you as well. Okay. Now, let's move on a little bit. Let's move on just a little bit from here. because this is important as well. It states here that 74% of the murderers were from the United States, where 85% were male, 8% were female, and the sex was undetermined in the case in which the offender was still at large. In addition, 82% of American serial killers were white, 15% were black, and 2.5% were Hispanic. And the only reason why our number's at 15%, family, because don't forget, we're one of the indigenous peoples of this land. So think about that. We've been here a very, very long time, ever since the country was started and beyond, and before as well. 82%. 82%, family. So they need to take this L and understand that Black people are not the face of crime in America. I wish no one was the face of crime in America, but the truth is right here in front of our face, family. The truth is right here in our face. And if we don't understand these things, you're going to be hating your own self for no apparent reason. Whereas though, as far as I know, Black people are some of the most kind and loving people that you will ever meet. Yes, a lot of us are impoverished, which cause. Now, here's the thing. Poverty, doesn't matter what country you are in, is a direct correlation to crime. See, I used to think that America got the idea of ghettos from Hitler. That's what I thought. Because Hitler, practiced that on the Jews during the Holocaust. But what I came to find out is that America was practicing the whole experiment of ghettos before the Nazis. And Hitler actually got the idea from the Americans. I don't know if you guys knew that. This fact check me, okay? I don't want to tell any lies. Fact check me. He got it from the Americans. And he understood that by the research he received from America about putting Black people in close quarters on top of each other, limit their resources, limit their opportunities, that not only were they killing themselves, but our slave patrol agents had the right to kill with impunity as well. And with immunity. With impunity and immunity. So Hitler just took that same concept and applied it to the Jews during the Holocaust. And it actually came up with some of the same results. Absolutely. Let me get my information here. Now, an unjust burden, treatment of Black Americans in the criminal justice system, right? Let me just scroll down here to my little piece here. I want you guys to see this. Because during the crack epidemic, we know that one of the three-letter agencies, not just introduced, we used to use the word introduced into the Black community. No, it was pushed on the Black community. Low-level drug dealers were actually coerced into pushing crack cocaine in the community to once again dismantle any movement, any power, any influence within the Black community. That's one of the main things we have to understand here. It states here that drug offending provides an important case study because information from public surveys consistently demonstrates the rates of drugs used are fairly consistent across racial and ethnic groups. And as we can tell here, family, here's some of the racial disparities. Blacks are depicted in gray and whites are depicted kind of in this burnt orange. It tells the U.S. population at 13%, whites at 73%. Drug users in the past year, whites at 77% and blacks at 15%. You ever hear some Black people say, well, Black people don't really do drugs like that, right? A vast majority of Black people do not do drugs, especially drugs like opioids, cocaine, heroin, PCP, I don't know, acid, etc. Now, yes, you're going to find some people who do some drugs. They're going to do marijuana, maybe some non-addictive drugs like that, which that's the only one I really know of. But the point I'm making here is even those who do addictive drugs, we used to think that it was a high concentration of us because we always had those neighborhood dope heads and things of that nature. But that didn't speak for the vast majority of Black Americans. It states here, here's where the disparity actually is, family. When you see drug possession and distribution right here, they're at 71% and we're at 27%. But when you see the sentence to state prison for drug offenses, those who are being sent to jail for their drug offense, how are we at the same percentage? Both at 31%. That is a huge disparity. Now, the one thing that kind of manipulated my mind, that really confused me a little bit, was when I looked at the drug possession and distribution arrests at 27%, the arrests for the drug offense is at 31%. And I'm like, oh, are they factoring in a certain percentage of Black people who are wrongfully accused and set up by the justice system? Is that what they're referring to? It could be a little conjecture there, but numbers don't lie. People do. Always remember that. Numbers do not lie. People do. Then lastly, it says sentenced to federal prison for drug offenses. 38% Black, 22% white. Last time I checked, family, a lot of Black people don't own boats and planes to smuggle drugs into America to distribute them throughout the Black community. Yeah. I know people got plugs and this, that, and the other, but I really want you to focus on the numbers and the disparities that you see here. Yeah, I know this figure's from 2016. It's probably even worse now. It's probably even worse now. Like I said before, I just wanted to get into the numbers because the numbers do not lie and people do. So with that being said, family, I have nothing else for you. I didn't want to be here too long, but I really just want to give you the data, the metrics and information about the true face and the true race of the issue of crime that we have in America. America is the most policed country in the world. We have more people in jail and prison and detained than any other country in the world. I would love to say than all the countries combined, we have most people in jail, but that's probably not true. But places like China with over 1 billion people, places like India with over 1 billion people, the continent of Africa, roughly a billion people, don't have many of their citizens in jail like America. And of course, Black Americans make up a large percentage of those who are incarcerated. But when you go to the FBI and look at their crime rates of people who are committing all the crimes, and I don't say all as inclusive, but majority of the crimes, you will see that it's not Black people. You will see that it's not Black people because when you look at the total number, and again, I showed you earlier, this was based on percentage according to your population. White people commit crimes 3 times more than Black people at 4.7 million compared to 1.8 million. There's no reason for crime, but it's a system that puts you in a situation that makes you feel desperate. You have no hope. So you do very desperate things. You go and rob your sister or your brother. or you get addicted to drugs because of your current situations. All these disparities that essentially are in the Black community family is because of the system of oppression. And some of you may not, quote unquote, be oppressed or suppressed because you have a good paying job, you have a career, you're an entrepreneur, you own property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at the vast majority of our people who didn't, one, wake up, two, was afforded the same opportunities, three, wasn't really given a chance because maybe they have dreads, or maybe they don't speak a certain vernacular. Maybe they don't, their lexicon doesn't sound a certain manner to be accepted. Because when you have a lack of resources, your generational wealth has been wiped away by the system of slavery and Jim Crow. And then wondering why a lot of Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, can't attend college, where college, whether it be community college or even a four-year university, we're talking about thousands of dollars every semester, every year, that we simply don't have the money. We simply don't have the money, and that's why reparations is so damn important. Now we have a lot of people on the left and the right, political, are stating that Black Americans didn't build America. All the immigrants did, not just, the Hispanic ones. They're talking about Irish, the Italian, the Chinese. They're talking about everybody except for us. Once again, this is to knock the legs from under the table, to deflect the argument, and it should never be a debate of the reparations owed to foundational Black Americans, for those dark melanated people who descended from slaves right here in these United States. Family, I mean, I get it. I truly get it. They put the Native Americans in reservations and pay them off yearly. But they said, what are we going to do with 50, 60 million Black Americans, who is the very foundation of this country, through all what we've put them through, has been the most resilient group. It doesn't matter what we do to these damn people. They keep popping back up, marching in the street, forcing us to make laws and legislation to give them an inch. We'll never give them a foot, but we'll give them an inch. Damn, they so goddamn resilient. And I tell people, maybe you're in a financial situation that is great for you, but just understand all the things that come against Black Americans. It's not just crime. It's not just social programs. It's not just medical. It's also psychological, because we're starting to think that we're horrible and bad people. And I'm stating you, fam. I'm saying those who are easily convinced, those who probably grew up with the dominant society and have been colonized in the mind to think that people that look like them are the problem in America and that we are not owed anything. Yeah. You're going to keep hearing people come out, oh, well, this person built America and this person and this, but family, Black Americans never stated that we built everything in America. We never stated that. We built the foundation of America. The things that represent the American government, like the White House and the Capitol and things of that nature. The railroads. We built the first initial railroads here in America. And then came the Chinese. But we were still working along with the Chinese as well. And the difference between the two is the people who were working on the railroad were either enslaved or incarcerated, depending on the time. That's the truth. That's the truth. So believe a couple of things here, family, that our people are great. That we can do essentially anything that we want to do, but there's a whole system that is against us. The worst thing they can do and have been doing is to trick, manipulate, and dupe us into believing that we are horrible people, even to ourselves, which keep us divided. But the truth is out. You guys have a good one. I'm out.